Welcome to Across the Goal Line, live from the field. Take it away, Corey. Welcome to Across the Goal Line. Today is episode 7 coming right at you here. Corey Maines alongside Luke Goddessart, and we are back after taking last week off. I was on vacation in Colorado all of last week, so it's good to be back, and let's get rolling. We'll take a look at how both the NHL and NBA Draft Lotteries took shape, along with giving our predictions for WWE Extreme Rules. That's on Sunday. Also, we'll provide you results for both NASCAR races that took place since our last podcast and the Players Golf Tournament as well. And based on the music to kick off this episode, you should know that we'll be talking about the Kentucky Derby, and that is where we will begin.
But let me stop you right there, Corey. Before we start, we've been forgetting some things in the past couple episodes. First, when we talked about local athletes, we forgot to mention Scott Collins, who was a teacher of ours, gym teacher. He wrestled at West Virginia University and was a national champion back in 1991, I believe. And then currently Nick Bumeri from Phillipsburg Osceola High School in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, is currently kicking over at Penn State. And then we want to give a shout out to J-Dog and Rock Streaming. It's a sports podcast, pop culture podcast. They talk about everything, sport-wise, pop culture-wise, their own lives, hunting, fishing, and loving every day, as Luke Bryan would say. And then finally, when we talked about the draft and the draft results, I forgot to mention some key facts about players drafted by position. There was 15 quarterbacks taken, 22 running backs, 32 wide receivers, 11 tight ends, and a partridge in a pear tree. I don't think anybody cares about the rest. So without that, I'll send it over back to Corey.
The 142nd running of the Kentucky Derby took place on Saturday, May the 7th, and saw the pre-race favorite Nyquist take down the victory, holding off Exaggerator in the final stretch to secure the win, winning by just 1 1/4 length margin. With the win, Nyquist became the first Kentucky Derby winner to win his first 8 starts, as Nyquist moved to 8-0 with the win, and the 8th horse to be undefeated and win the Kentucky Derby. His jockey Mario Gutierrez, meanwhile, became the first jockey to win his first 2 Derby starts, his first coming 4 years ago when he was jockeying I'll Have Another, and that is our stat of the week this week. So now the question can be stated. Can Nyquist complete the Triple Crown, replicating what American Pharoah did last year? Also, can he finish his career undefeated? So look, I'll ask you that question right now. Can Nyquist win the Triple Crown?
There's a good chance he could. It did take about 40 years for American Pharoah to finally win another Triple Crown. But I don't think he will. But we'll get more into that because that's our question of the week this week.
Yeah, I don't think Nyquist can do it either. The Triple Crown is such an elusive achievement in just sports in general, like of all sports. It's like one of the hardest things in sports like you can do. So it's a really hard achievement. Plus, Nyquist is still undefeated. If he wants to remain undefeated, he's going to have to win the final 2 legs of the Triple Crown there, the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes. So that adds another little layer of the impossibility that is winning the Triple Crown, that little having to go undefeated thing. So we'll see. Again, you said about the Preakness. We'll be talking about that next week. Our question of the week we'll get to later in the show. We will pose the question of if he can, who's going to win the Preakness there, coming up on Saturday. So Nyquist will go for the second leg of the Triple Crown at the Preakness Stakes. That is on Saturday, as I just mentioned, the 21st, I do believe, if I'm looking at the date right, 21st. So we'll see then. All right, we're going to shift gears now and go into the results of the NASCAR races that took place the last 2 weeks now, since we missed the previous week and just on Sunday here. The first one that we missed, it was on Saturday the 7th, along with the Kentucky Derby. It was the night race in Kansas, which was won by Kyle Busch, and that gave him his 3rd victory of the season and his first ever at Kansas. He pulled away from Kevin Harvick late in the race. That wasn't as wrecked-filled as Talladega the week prior, but it did feature a wreck that took some of the leaders with it late in the race. Kyle's brother Kurt finished on 3rd, Matt Kenseth got 4th, and Ryan Blaney picked up 5th. Then the following week, the chase hit Dover, and it was here that Matt Kenseth picked up the victory, making it his first of the year, and this win was a sweet one for Matt because he had been in the lead for all but one of the 11 races so far this year. He took over that final lead of the day at Dover there on a restart, while a restart on lap 355 led to an 18-car pileup that included then race leader Jimmy Johnson, along with other guys who had the lead in the race prior to that. So he got a little break there. He was in 2nd at the beginning of that restart and took over the lead and never looked back. He fended off 2 guys in Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. Those guys finished 2nd and 3rd, respectively, who were looking for their very first career victory in the Sprint Cup Series, I do believe. I don't know about that, Luke.
Well, hold on. Yeah. I was thinking of something else. Kyle Larson has won a race before. Chase Elliott has not won a Sprint Cup race. He is a rookie this year. Yeah, but Jimmy Johnson, as you were saying there, my favorite driver, was in the lead and stalled and caused that 18-car pileup. But Larson was also leading some of the Dover race this past week and couldn't get it done, and Matt Kenseth won, as you said.
Wrapping up the top 5 right there, Casey Kane and Kurt Busch, they wrapped up the top 5, those guys finishing in 4th and 5th, respectively. Now, next week, we'll bring you coverage of the All-Star race, which is in Charlotte. That is going down Saturday on the 21st. And then the Sprint Showdown, which is another thing during All-Star Weekend, is the day prior on Friday, the 20th. And then there will be a actual race in Charlotte the next week, I do believe.
Yeah, the day before Memorial Day, Sunday night. It's the only Sunday night race of the year, unless it's unless they postpone it some whatnot. But that's the Coke 600 down in Charlotte. Like I said, the day before Memorial Day.
Now we will transition into some golf now. The Players' Championship. This was played from Thursday, May the 12th, and it wrapped up on Sunday here on the 15th. And it saw the number 1 ranked player in the world, Jason Day, win wire to wire, meaning that he led after each round of the 4 rounds that they played. And he finished at 15 under par for the tournament, 4 clear of second, who was Kevin Chappell, who finished at 11 under. Then 4 men tied for 3rd place with a score of 10 under. That was Matt Kuchar, Justin Thomas, Ken Duke, and Colt Knost. Now this tournament is often called the 5th major in golf alongside the Masters, the U.S. Open, the Open, or the British Open if you prefer, and the PGA Championship. But this Players' Championship did not play like a major championship in any way for the first 2 days, as nearly everyone was shooting under par rounds, and the leaderboard was all stacked up with guys under par, where ended up being the cut, which is like essentially 10 shots behind the leader almost, was at 2 under par. So that's a little interesting tidbit there. Also, that there was over 100 and some, I think over 150 rounds under par the first 2 days. Now, Jason Day, the winner of this tournament, he shot a 9 under 63 in round 1, and that ties a course record for the course they're playing. I think TPC Sawgrass. I'm not 100% sure about that. I think it is, though. Sawgrass, the place with the island green, very iconic. So I think that's right. I'm not 100% sure. If I'm not, call me out on it. I don't care if you do or not. So, moving on. And he followed that up with a 6 under 66 in round 2 to break a player's record for the lowest score through the first 2 rounds with a score of 15 under, breaking Greg Norman's record of 14 under back in 1994. The low scoring that I mentioned, it changed dramatically in the 3rd round, as the 3rd round had only 6 under par rounds, as the greens went from soft with perfect speed to almost being like glass. Very hard to judge the speed of the greens, as you just barely tap it and it just goes flying past the hole. It made it hard for guys to even make putts that were right next to the hole almost, like a couple feet away, that are normally just tap-ins for professionals like these guys. So many of the players after that 3rd round, they spoke out on the speedy greens and how it was such a problem for them, including the leader, Jason Day. He was also pretty upset about those greens. He only went 1 over for that round, and he was at 14 under going to the final round, which was much better for the players for that round because they changed the way they did the greens. The way they did the greens for round 3 was that they rolled them a whole bunch to make them that fast. They only rolled them once instead of like twice for the other round. So it changed up the speed for it, made it a lot easier for guys to score. But Jason Day walked into that final round with a 4-shot lead. He was at 14 under. All the guys that were like at 10 under or 9 under that were really near him really fell off and didn't go anywhere after that. And all Day really needed to do was to hold on to his lead at a course that is notoriously difficult to do so at, as holes 16, 17, and 18 are probably one of the hardest stretches of holes to really go under par and maintain your lead because they're all surrounded. There's water all over these holes. 16 has water on the approach, is a par 5. If you want to get close, you have to go right over the water. Hole 17 is an island green where the whole green is surrounded by water. And then hole 18, there's water all down the left side of the hole. So that's a really hard course to manage your lead if you are in it at that point. But Jason Day did so, and he walked out with his 7th victory in 17 starts. And this was also a wire-to-wire one that I mentioned earlier. And with that, it was his 3rd wire-to-wire victory dating back to last season. And no other player in that span has more than 1. No other player has 2 at least. So Jason Day is on a tear right now. He's getting Tiger Woods comparisons back when Tiger Woods was playing really well, which is really funny when you consider Tiger Woods is an idol of Jason Day. So he's the number 1 ranked player in the world. He's looking great going into moving on towards the U.S. Open, I think is the next major, I believe. So we'll see if he can win that and add to his major totals, winning the PGA last season. So we'll see what Jason Day is. We'll stay tuned for Jason Day, see what he can do going forward the rest of this season.
Do you like what you hear? If so, you need to check out Silence Our Perdition, a metal band from Clearfield, Pennsylvania. They're fairly new in the music industry, but they're on the rise. Some songs include Slaves to Obedience, Never, 6, Left and Solace, and An Untold Story. Be sure to like Silence Our Perdition on Facebook and follow at SO Perdition on Twitter. You can contact them on either Facebook or Twitter. Do you like hunting, fishing, or talking about the outdoors? If so, you need to check out Downriver Outdoors, an outdoors channel on YouTube that brings you some of the best footage of hunting and fishing from the backwoods of Central PA. They also tell some great outdoors stories. Be sure to subscribe to Downriver Outdoors on YouTube.
Now we move into the draft lotteries for both the NHL and the NBA. We're going to start with the NHL Draft Lottery that happened on April the 30th, and it was won by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who finished with the lowest point total last season, along with the worst record in the NHL, going 29, 42, and 11 for a total of 69 points, beating out the Edmonton Oilers for that mark of being the worst in the league. They went 31, 43, and 8 and had a total of 70 points. With that lowest point total, the Leafs had the best chance to grab the number 1 overall selection in the draft that will take place June the 24th and the 25th, and they did just that. The Oilers now, who had the second best odds of getting that number 1 pick, dropped all the way down to number 4, while the Winnipeg Jets, who had the 6th best odds, or simply the 6th worst record in the NHL, moved all the way up to number 2, taking over what could have been the Oilers spot. So now the Winnipeg Jets have a great chance to add a very talented player to their roster. Already talented roster that was in the playoffs the year prior to this season, but then everything kind of went downhill. They traded away their captain, Andrew Ladd, to the Chicago Blackhawks, and they were terrible this past season, but now they have a chance to get back to that form that they were 2 years ago. So now the full NHL lottery, that was all the picks that were decided at the NHL lottery, goes as follows. As I already mentioned, the Toronto Maple Leafs have the number 1 pick. The Winnipeg Jets are at number 2. The Columbus Blue Jackets picked up the 3rd pick. The Oilers, as I mentioned before, have the 4. Vancouver Canucks at 5. Calgary Flames at 6. The Arizona Coyotes at number 7. Number 8 is the Buffalo Sabres. Number 9, the Montreal Canadiens. Number 10, the Colorado Avalanche. 11, New Jersey Devils. 12, the Ottawa Senators. 13 to the Carolina Hurricanes. And the 14th and final pick for the NHL Draft Lottery was the Boston Bruins. Now, with that number 1 overall pick, the Toronto Maple Leafs are expected to, at least as I saw, to take Austin Matthews. He is a player out of the Switzerland National League A. He plays for the Zurich Lions out of Switzerland there. Other possible top 5 picks to go alongside Matthews in the NHL draft are Jesse Puljujärvi, who is a winger for Karpat in the Finnish Liga. Patrick Laine also plays winger in that same Finnish Liga, but he plays for the team Tappara. Jakob Chychrun, who is a defenseman for the Sarnia Sting in the Ontario Hockey League. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, a winger for Cape Breton in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. And those 14 picks that I gave you previously are the picks that were settled at the draft lottery, with the rest being decided based on how the rest of the playoffs shape up moving forward. And we will be sure to bring you how we think the draft will go down when it comes along in late June there, the 24th and 25th, as stated previously. Now it's time for the NBA Draft Lottery that took place just on Tuesday here, and it saw the Philadelphia 76ers nab that top pick in the upcoming NBA Draft. The Sixers had the best odds, being the worst team in the league after going at a horrid 10-72 last season, many of accusing them of tanking, which I'm sure a lot of people think, I included, think they just tanked to get this number 1 pick, but I digress from that. And actually, I'll say real quick, this is their first number 1 overall selection since 1996, when they chose Allen Iverson, who turned around their team completely, moving a few years after being picked number 1. The Lakers now, they have the second pick for the second straight year, and they will look to use that to build this team back after Kobe Bryant's retirement here at the end of this season. The Boston Celtics now have the third pick. Luke, your Celtics have the third pick because of the trade that they made with the Brooklyn Nets a few years ago that sent then superstars for their team, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, to the Nets, in which the Celtics received the Nets' first-round pick for this year. So getting that third overall selection will help add to a team that made the playoffs this year and possibly help them go deeper into the playoffs later on. So, Luke, you're a Celtics fan. I'll bring you in here. Who do you think that maybe they pick with this third pick that they got?
It could be anybody from Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, Buddy Hield. It's going to depend on those first 2 picks and who gets taken. One of those guys could, fall and whatnot. So, but yeah, talking about that trade, I remember it just like it was yesterday. I was at the beach on vacation. You said you're out on vacation out in Colorado last week. And the draft was going on, but it was also the same day that Aaron Hernandez, the former tight end of the New England Patriots, was arrested for murder. He's been convicted now. He's in prison. We're not going to get into talking about him. But, yeah, the Celtics got a lot out of that trade from Brooklyn after they sent KG and Paul Pierce, as you said, who are both retired now. But, yeah, with that number 3 pick, which they have 8 picks this year in the 2016 NBA draft, they could go anywhere. They could even trade the number 3 pick and, maybe get a superstar, or maybe not as, maybe an average, player in the NBA, and help build the franchise back up and, lead the team further in playoff contention for years to come.
Yeah, you said it right there, Luke. The Boston Celtics have 8 total picks this coming edition of the NBA draft. So teams probably have to watch out for the Celtics coming up this next NBA season, along with ones going forward, because they will have that plethora of young talent to really add on to an already great basketball team this coming season here. This past season, they were really good. I know I had them going to the finals, which was, I will say, a stupid pick. In retrospect,
you also had the Spurs.
Yes, I did.
Who your Oklahoma City Thunder defeated. So you don't have anybody correct in the NBA Finals.
No,
I have,
or the NHL either.
Yeah, you don't have the NHL.
Right? Stars, yes.
Yeah, I have the Penguins are still going in the NHL. And I had the Blackhawks, but then I picked the Sharks. Yeah. So the Sharks are still going. And then NBA, I didn't change my pick because I had the Cavs against the Warriors, and both those teams are still playing. So it's going to be interesting. But Go on with what you're saying.
I mean, we'll also bring you coverage of the NBA draft, which is on June 23rd, the day before the NHL draft there. So we'll bring or maybe a mock draft or something like that, maybe at least a preview of something like that for both of those two drafts the week prior to that. And without further ado, I'm going to go into how the rest of the lottery shaped up. I gave you the first 3 picks, those being the 76ers, Lakers, and Celtics, moving into the number 4 pick, which went to the Phoenix Suns. The 5th to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The 6th is the New Orleans Pelicans. 7, Denver Nuggets. 8, Sacramento Kings. 9, the Toronto Raptors. 10 to the Milwaukee Bucks. 11, Orlando Magic. 12 to the Utah Jazz. 13, the Phoenix Suns once again. And the 14th pick and the final one for the draft lottery to the Chicago Bulls. As you saw there, and I read, the Suns have 2 lottery picks this season. Their 13th selection that they have in the lottery coming from the Washington Wizards. Also, the Raptors, who are currently in the Eastern Conference Finals right now, have gotten a top 10 pick. And I saw it was because of the trade with Andrea Bargnani going to New York. They think they got that from the Knicks, but upon further review, I think they got it from the Nuggets, and the Nuggets got the 7th pick from the Knicks, coming from some trade maybe. I originally thought maybe Carmelo a long ways back, but that seems pretty doubtful right now. I don't doubt they would have given a pick that far into the future, but I'll have to look more into that. That's not really important right now, so we'll just leave it at that. I'll go back to Toronto here. They're another team like Boston that can use that top 10 pick to help better themselves to go after that championship in coming seasons. Now, with that top pick for the 76ers, many believe that they will take Ben Simmons out of LSU, who is regarded as the top prospect maybe even before starting college. He was that good, coming out of Australia to go play college at LSU, which is still a baffling decision by many. Say that he went to LSU, not going to like somewhere like Duke or Kentucky or something like that. So the other top 5 picks, like I did for the NHL, I'll do the top 5 possible picks. I actually have 5 or more guys here plus Simmons, so 6 people I have down. So those are just possible top 5 picks here. So Brandon Ingram, he's a forward out of your Duke Blue Devils there, Luke.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield, I think he was the Wooden Award winner here this past season,
yes,
out of Oklahoma, the guard. Dragan Bender, who's a forward from Croatia, possibly another good international talent like Kristaps Porzingis for the Knicks now. And Jamal Murray, he's a guard from Kentucky. And then finally, Chris Dunn, guard out of Providence. So we'll see how that all shapes up when it comes time around the 23rd. Again, we'll bring you coverage of that when it comes around June the 23rd. Well, the week before that for us, so we can give you a preview of it. But yes, we will give you all draft time coverage for both NHL and NBA. Now we will shift into our final thing for the day. It is WWE Extreme Rules, which takes place here on Sunday the 22nd. And Extreme Rules is the one pay-per-view, well, maybe not the one pay-per-view, but it's supposed to be the one pay-per-view in WWE during the year that goes extreme. Almost all matches are of some sort of extreme stipulation where weapons and no rules kind of happen. So a lot of crazy stuff happens here at Extreme Rules.
Hence the name. So
hence the name, of course. So we'll just get into our predictions here. There are 8 total matches that I have down right now, and that should be all. If there is SmackDown's on tonight, but I don't think there's going to be anything really announced there that we don't already know. So we'll just get into it. We'll start with a pre-show match. A rematch of a pre-show match from Payback, which is Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. It is no disqualifications this time. Payback saw the show off, Dolph Ziggler pick up an unlikely win, but I think that Baron Corbin exacts his sweet revenge on Dolph Ziggler, utterly destroying him in the process. The no DQ stipulation really helps Corbin to really do that. Ziggler will certainly get his spots in, he'll get his stuff in to make it look like he can win, but ultimately I think Corbin really picks up this win so he can move on past Ziggler and do bigger and better things as a recent debut from NXT there. I'm not putting anything past Ziggler as I say that, moving on from Ziggler. He is a former world champion, but he's been reduced to what's basically enhancement talent just putting into these matches with some of these young guys with the only goal of really making his opponent look good while they pick up the victory. The only thing I have to gripe about this match is that it is on the pre-show, because these two guys, Corbin and Ziggler, I think deserve to be on the main card, especially Ziggler, who's a former world champion, and Corbin, who's a new enticing young talent from NXT. But it makes the pre-show more watchable, I guess, for them to be on the pre-show.
Yeah, I agree with all that, Corey. I also have the Lone Wolf Baron Corbin defeating Dolph Ziggler, but I don't think it's going to stop at Extreme Rules. We got Money in the Bank coming up next month. And there's also a rumor about, the brands getting split up sometime by the end of the summer. So will it be after Extreme Rules? Will it be at SummerSlam? We don't know. But if they have one ladder match for a briefcase, they might have two, for Raw and SmackDown, or just one for all talent. I could see both Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler in that ladder match.
See them extending their feud with that ladder match possibly then?
Yes, pretty much what I'm saying.
All right. We're going to move on to a match that has been made very late to the card here. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, also known as part of The Club, as they're called now. Of course, referencing their original allegiance in a club, the Bullet Club in Japan.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. Is that what they do? I don't know. I don't watch Japan, New Japan Pro. Do you?
They do Too Sweet.
Yeah, they do the Too Sweet, I know.
But they do the finger pointing as guns, but I was just putting that in there.
All right. So this match, they're taking on the Usos, and this is also an extension of the feud between Roman Reigns and AJ Styles. The Club versus the Bloodline. These names are so cringeworthy, it's hard to say them. They're just so generic and terrible, so I digress on that as well. Now, this is a tag team tornado match, which is basically a match where all the competitors are in the ring at the same time, even though it's a tag team match. There is no tagging in and out of the match, which is kind of defeats the purpose of a tag match. But
yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, which it turns this match into a fatal four-way, but there's teams, basically. So there's a fatal four-way coming up, too, so we'll get into more about fatal four-ways later on down the card here. But this match is actually going to be announced tonight on SmackDown, but thanks to that being taped on Tuesdays, we already know that this match will be happening at Extreme Rules, so thankful for that. Nevertheless, I will take Gallows and Anderson to win the match. I'm not wavering on this pick whatsoever. The Usos have been getting the upper hand on these two guys for the past couple weeks on Raw and SmackDown for the most part, so it's only fair to assume these two guys are going to win. Also, them being recent debutees, first pay-per-view in an actual match on a pay-per-view, they should obviously deserve the win. These guys are supposed to be a monstrous tag team. They've just been easily handled by the Usos. And then, of course, they've been handled by Roman Reigns all by himself, both of these guys. So these guys have been being booked right now to be really weak, I would say. And if they want to make this club seem like a real threat to the WWE Universe and to the title, the title holder, Roman Reigns, then these two need to win more matches, not only on the pay-per-views, but on TV, Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, the booking for Gallows and Anderson has been horrendous. They need a better push, but as we've seen in WWE prior, say Dolph Ziggler, Bray Wyatt, just to name a few, they needed pushes. They didn't get them. They're not giving the fans what they want, but whoever wins this match, and I'm not going to actually pick a winner, they're both going to interfere in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match.
Yeah, I think we all know that.
In the main event, later in the night anyway, so that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right, so we'll move on to the Tag Team Championship match. Is the New Day versus the Vaudevillains. I'm going to go with the New Day. They have held the title since SummerSlam this past year, back in August, and they're poised to hang on these titles for a little bit longer. Also, the Vaudevillains were just granted this match because, they didn't even win the number one contendership match back at Payback because that was a no contest because of the Enzo Amore injury. The New Day, the WWE really like them. They're very high on the New Day. They're closing in on the record for longest tag title reign, which is actually held by two guys that aren't even in the company anymore, Brian Kendrick and Paul London, also known as London and Kendrick, when they were actually there as the tag team. They haven't been there since, during this reign, they were, in 2006 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't do my fact-checking history check right there. We got Luke face-palming about the London and Kendrick here.
I can't believe that. That's just... I don't know what to say about that. That's crazy.
The fact that Brian Kendrick and Paul London are the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE. Yeah, they were. How about I give you something that's even worse than that?
All right.
The team that beat those two guys for the titles to end their reign. Deuce and Domino.
Those Elvis impersonator...
Greasers.
Whatever you want to call them.
Those two guys beat them for the tag titles.
And then, around that same time, there's Jesse and Festus. Hell, Festus is Luke Gallows, Doc Gallows. He's part of the club now.
He was also Fake Kane.
Yeah. Once he left WWE, he went to TNA. They didn't book him right either.
He was a part of Aces and Eights there.
Yes, but then he went to Japan.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have gone to Japan to wrestle and, turn their careers around. And that's how the Bullet Club was formed over there. And when Fergal Devitt, also known as Finn Balor now, left Japan to go to WWE, it was also AJ Styles' first night in Japan. And Styles wrestled over there for 2 years. And then they all told the company's president, leader, promoter, whatever you want to call him, back around Christmas time, all at the same time, that they were leaving to go to WWE. And that's when the rumors started. And then Nakamura as well said WWE's gotten a lot of Japanese talent, a lot of American talent from Japan, I should say. But yeah, going back to Fat Jesse and Festus, Biscuits and Gravy was their entrance song. I remember it's when I started watching wrestling, back about 10 years ago. It was WrestleMania 23, excuse me. They're going to have 33 this year. But I guess this is story time with Luke. I know I like to talk a lot, but anyways.
All right. I'll just get back into it then. You're having a hard time thinking about what to say. So the New Day, they're also tremendously over with the fans as well, giving them the little momentum there. Seeing is the WWE pays attention to that, keeping the titles on them. So, also, I think the New Day gets a little assist from Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, or he's called just Big Cass now. I don't know what the deal with WWE shortening people's names is. So,
well, I heard that with Big E from the New Day, they don't want Big Cass to be the same thing as Big E, so that's why they're calling him Colin Cassidy.
Well, no, they're calling him Big Cass now. He came out. I think Monday, it was just Big Cass as his little title instead of Colin Cassidy, which is really interesting.
Well, that's how it was, because that's what Enzo calls him. But then they were saying to call him Colin Cassidy. I must have missed that this past week.
Yeah, they've been calling him just Big Cass for the most part, instead of just Colin Cass. Especially the announcers like Michael Cole and stuff, they just call him Big Cass. Which is okay, yeah, but if you're not... I don't want him just to be called, that's his name. It's just like three other guys. You got Cesaro, Neville, and Rusev. They all lost their first names. Rusev, before he even came up to the main roster, he was Alexander Rusev. Antonio Cesaro, now just Cesaro. And then Adrian Neville's just Neville now. So
yeah, the WWE tries to change stuff up as fast as they can and quick as they can over time, and the fans won't catch it.
Yeah.
Long story short there, but
I mean, I still catch it and I still don't exactly like it. I get why they do it, because that's what the announcers call them anyway. They just call them by their last names to begin with, so why not? But it's just, I just have a little problem with it. I don't really know. It's just something that just a little nitpick for me, I would say. Again, getting off topic, going back to this prediction here, the New Day versus the Vaudevillains. If Amore is in fact healthy enough to come in and make an assist or a little run in, the distraction, he'll be there. But if not, I think just at least Big Cass. He comes out, helps distract the Vaudevillains, helps the New Day pick up the victory. That's basically all I'm saying. Is just the New Day is going to retain because of a distraction by Big Cass. Maybe, maybe not. That's a bit iffy. So who you got in this match?
I think the New Day are going to retain. As you said, WWE is real high on them right now. Vince especially. Enzo could come out if he's healthy and interfere, but I like the New Day.
Simply said, the New Day. Moving on to the U.S. Championship match, there is no stipulation to this one, much like the Tag Team Championship match that I just said. We have Rusev. Sorry there. We have Rusev. He won the number one contendership Battle Royal on Raw after Payback, taking on the champion Kalisto. I am taking Rusev. I think Kalisto's time as the champion is up. Again, Rusev won that number one contender Battle Royal. And he should go back to being that destructive force that he was when he first came in. He had that huge undefeated streak going all the way into WrestleMania 31, where he lost to John Cena. And more on John Cena just in a bit, because the only reason I think that Rusev might win the title is because of John Cena, who's coming back the following week on Raw, the 30th.
Memorial Day
coming back on the 30th. I think that's all what this is leading towards. I think it's just leading towards John Cena coming back triumphantly, winning the U.S. title against Rusev, which wouldn't be a great booking thing because they had like 7 matches dating back to WrestleMania, like 7 straight pay-per-views, I swear. Like, they have a real tendency to have the same feuds over and over again. I mean, how many times have you seen John Cena versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship?
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. And I think that will happen. I think Rusev will win. Kalisto's had the title since about January after he defeated Alberto Del Rio, who is rumored to be dating Paige. There's also a rumor going around Vince wants to do a storyline with Del Rio, Charlotte, and Paige. Paige going against Charlotte for the women's title then. But then Charlotte also had a fling with Del Rio after he came back to WWE last October. But yeah, I have Rusev defeating Kalisto.
The next match in the card, or that I have written down at least, is a first for WWE. It is Chris Jericho taking on Dean Ambrose in another rematch from Payback. It's the first ever Asylum match in WWE. Something that really resembles TNA's Lethal Lockdown match. There is a steel cage, and there's weapons all on top of the cage. If you didn't watch Raw, then this is kind of your insight to what this match is. There's a steel cage, and there's weapons all around the top of it. I don't know what weapons will be there on Sunday, but they had some random ones there on Raw. They had a mop and a bucket, a potted plant because of Dean Ambrose getting hit in the head with his plant. Mitch, the plant from Jericho that Monday after.
From the Ambrose Asylum.
The Ambrose Asylum, his mainstay on the show. That got canceled that night.
By Stephanie
McMahon. So, this Asylum match, like I said, weapons all around the top. And I'm pretty sure the only way to win is pinfall or submission. Ambrose said there's no escape, like a normal cage match, but I doubt that there is going to be that stipulation you can escape to win. I doubt it. I think it's going to be pinfall and submission.
It's funny you say that because last week on SmackDown, or it might have been 2 weeks ago, Ambrose was put in a straitjacket by Jericho.
True.
So, with that no escape, maybe Ambrose puts Jericho in a straitjacket and then pins him to win. I think straitjacket will be on top of the steel cage. And
it was on Monday.
Yeah, and then I think Jericho's ripped up, hence $15,000 jacket. I don't think it's worth $15,000, but
obviously not.
I think that will also will be out there and have something, to do with the match.
Maybe. I mean, I have Dean Ambrose picking up this victory over the veteran Jericho. Similar to why I picked him at Payback, Ambrose needs the win more. Jericho's just a veteran. He comes in. I heard he's supposed to be leaving or something coming up, maybe later on in the year or something like that.
He might be. I haven't heard anything about his band Fozzy. He's
I don't know
singer Fozzy.
I don't know when the next Fozzy tour is, so...
That's whenever he leaves WWE. I haven't read anything, or I haven't seen anything, about when they're going back on tour. So he could be staying around a bit longer. He could be leaving. It was rumored he would be leaving after WrestleMania. He's still here, so who knows? But I also have Ambrose in this Asylum match. I think Jericho will put over Ambrose. I think they might have another match here and there if he sticks around. But then it's like you said earlier with Ziggler and Baron Corbin to help the younger talent get over. So yeah, Ambrose wins the first ever Asylum match in WWE.
It would make sense, of course. It is his own stipulation, basically. He is the quote-unquote creator of the match in at least WWE world. He is. So that really helps him. It's his own match. Also, I think that Ambrose might pick up a little streak of big wins, especially in pay-per-views, and it all culminates into what's going to be an early prediction here: a Money in the Bank briefcase win next month at Money in the Bank. I would like it. I'm sure a lot of other people would like it. You probably would like it too.
Yes.
So they would love to see Ambrose with that briefcase. Plus, it would make for a good little story there because Roman Reigns is the champion, who is Dean Ambrose's best friend, quote unquote, the brother there. So that would be a really interesting dynamic to those two's relationship.
Yes, and then also Seth Rollins is going to be returning here soon.
Yeah, I heard
coming off a knee injury. He never lost his title, so he's going to be put back in that title picture, and then maybe it leads to a triple threat, at SummerSlam this year or WrestleMania next year, between the three former Shield members for the WWE World Heavyweight title. I know they were planning on having that this past WrestleMania, but Rollins obviously tore his ACL and couldn't wrestle, so that's why that got scratched. But
yeah, I actually heard that Rollins might be actually appearing on Raw maybe the week after John Cena, the 6th.
Yes,
Vince, June 6th.
Yeah, Vince actually said in a conference call 2 weeks ago, I think, that there's going to be a lot of talent returning here in the next month, and there's going to be more talent on the main roster than there ever has before. So going back, however long WWE's been, an organization, a company, saying that's a strong statement.
Yeah, for sure. A bunch of guys coming back from injury, like you said, new young talent coming up from NXT. Another reason for the brand split right there. So, next match is the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship. It features The Miz, who's the champion right now, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. This match, I think, will help build the feud even further between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and I'm picking Sami Zayn to win his first ever Intercontinental Championship, first WWE title in the main roster. Of course, he was the NXT champion down there at NXT. So I think this really helps them. It really helps that build that heat between the two. They'll tear at each other during this bout specifically, and I think Kevin Owens will take advantage of there being no disqualifications because there is no DQ in a Fatal 4-Way or Triple Threat for that matter. And I think I'll put Zayn through like the announce table or something, or just through a table or whatever, or maybe just at least beat the crap out of him to a point where he's basically incapacitated. And then I think Kevin Owens will be in position to win, like hit a pop-up powerbomb on like The Miz or Cesaro, but then Sami Zayn comes in, throws him out of the ring, steals the victory, which would really make Kevin Owens really ticked off at Sami Zayn, even more than he already is, in storyline at least. And he would take in the title that Kevin Owens really wants that Intercontinental Championship, and this furthers the hate there. But I won't sleep on The Miz. I think The Miz might hang on to this title, though. He's my second pick if I had to choose one, because he's a fantastic heel champion. He's great at being the bad guy. I love him. He plays the character really well, that A-lister, snob guy. The return of his wife, Maurice, to the WWE really helps that, too, with his like supermodel wife there. So, and if she will play a big part, and if he's actually going to win this match, she will definitely play a huge part if Miz is to retain.
Yeah, if Miz won, if Sami Zayn won, if Cesaro won, if Kevin Owens even won, I'd be happy. I could really care less who wins this because these 3, possibly 4 people are still going to be fighting, here coming up in the next couple of months. But I read that don't be surprised if Kevin Owens doesn't win, that he gets put in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship picture. But then you have Money in the Bank coming up next month. So does he win the Money in the Bank briefcase and then, get a chance to cash in within the next year? Or does Ambrose, as we said?
Ambrose, someone like that. It would be really interesting to see Kevin Owens there. He'd be an interesting guy. I feel like Kevin Owens would be a guy to cash it in the same night that he won it, because he's the prize fighter, of course. So we're gonna move on from that, I guess.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what to say. As long as he doesn't lose.
Yeah.
If he loses, it's a waste of what's the right word I want to use?
An opportunity, maybe.
Yeah, waste. Yeah. It's a wasted opportunity.
I mean, nothing kills a career faster than that, really, would it?
Because
I mean, look at Damian Sandow. He lost his Money in the Bank briefcase title match against John Cena. Because he took on John Cena, first of all. That's his first mistake there.
Yeah, and then, the fans loved him. And then...
I mean, look at Sandow now. He got fired.
Yeah, I was just about to get into that. I mean, he was Miz's
stunt double.
Stunt double.
Yeah, his tag team partner,
Mizdow, last year around WrestleMania time. But yeah, as you said, he just got fired from WWE for the second time, I believe. Along with Hornswoggle, Santino Marella,
Alex Riley,
Rich Brennan, one of the NXT announcers, and a few others. Can't remember. It's been about 2 weeks since they released these guys, these athletes, this talent. But then there's also rumors of going around saying there's going to be more talent released, by the end of the month, maybe into June. So we'll just have to see about that.
All right, going into the final two matches of Extreme Rules that I have down at least, we have Charlotte taking on Natalya in another rematch of Payback. There's a lot of rematches from Payback here at this pay-per-view. Almost all of them, actually, are rematches from Payback. This is the Women's Championship match. It is a submission match, which kind of helps Natalya with her sharpshooter finisher, but I'm taking Charlotte despite the odds being stacked in Natalya's favor because Charlotte's father, Ric Flair, will not be at ringside. He got banished from ringside by Stephanie McMahon that Monday after Payback for this match. And without him, some people are thinking possibly it just makes it seem like Natalya might be able to win because Ric has been involved with pretty much every finish for Charlotte retaining this title throughout her reign so far. So without him, it looks like Natalya possibly, but I don't think it should be her to win the Women's Championship off of Charlotte. It should be someone like one of the newer people, like Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks, possibly, or maybe even like a Bayley getting called up. I don't know when that's happening, but
I mean, where's Sasha been? She hasn't been on TV in how long?
I heard it's for storyline reasons.
I heard the same thing.
It's supposed to be like a long-term storyline there, so we'll see. I have this as being possibly one of the matches of the night because one of the matches of the night going along with the Intercontinental Fatal 4-Way and then the main event that we have coming up for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Both these women are really good in the ring together. They put on great matches last two pay-per-views that they've been together. Roadblock, which really isn't a pay-per-view, it's more of a WWE Network special, so it's like a semi-pay-per-view type thing. And then, of course, Payback just this last month. They've been putting on great matches. But like I said, I don't think Natalya is the one to do it. She might be able to win a women's championship. That'd be nice, I would say. That'd be nice for her to win one. But I don't think she should be the one to dethrone Charlotte, though.
I picked Natty to win at Payback. That obviously didn't happen. Because, as you said, Ric Flair, her father, interfered again. That was my phone falling. I don't know if it caught on audio there.
He didn't interfere. He paid off the ref, quote unquote.
Yeah, little Nate, Charles Robinson. I really don't know who to pick for this, so
we'll just flip a coin on it. I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could flip a coin, and I'm still gonna pick Natty. I don't really like Charlotte. I know she's a heel, but she could also play a babyface just like anybody else. I like some, superstars when they're, good guys, but then I hate them when they're bad guys. I'm still going to pick Natty to win this.
All right. It's the main event.
She deserves it.
Okay, the main event now is Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles in, once again, a rematch from Payback for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and is an Extreme Rules match a match where anything goes and anyone and anything can be used, whatever, anything goes, basically. The namesake match, the match with a name for the pay-per-view. So, I have Roman Reigns winning this match. I think you and I both know that Roman Reigns will probably be holding on to this title for a very, very, very long time.
Unfortunately, yes.
And I think AJ Styles is basically a placeholder for someone like, let's say, a Brock Lesnar or a Seth Rollins. With one of those two guys, Lesnar or Rollins, being the one to actually take the title off of Roman.
That's a possibility.
But I wouldn't see anything like that until maybe possibly SummerSlam in August. So that's a while down the road yet. So I think Roman, he's going to win this match. He won't do it easily. AJ will put on another show like he did at Payback. He'll pick up all these near falls, more near falls, just a whole bunch of near falls. Roman will keep kicking out, but then he'll just get speared for the 1-2-3 in the end, eventually. Now, this being an Extreme Rules match, there's so many things that can happen, of course. Anything goes, there's no DQ. So Gallows and Anderson, who you mentioned earlier, they will certainly attempt to assist AJ in this match. I think that's just a given, despite them competing earlier in the night, like you said. Also, the Roman's cousins, the Usos, who are also competing earlier in the night against Gallows and Anderson, they'll get involved to help even the odds. But then there's that possibility of Finn Balor that I talked about in Payback. That didn't happen. They could come in and he can help AJ, make the club even stronger, or he can hurt AJ and just cost him, and Gallows and Anderson goes along with Finn Balor, and that was the whole plan all along. But I don't think that happens now. I said it at Payback, but now I'm thinking even further no now because it didn't happen at Payback. Also, I saw that this Roman and Styles feud for the title is supposed to possibly keep going into Money in the Bank next month, meaning that if Balor is going to debut in this storyline like that, it won't be until then, until the final match, where he eventually turns on AJ or whatever to begin his main roster career. If that is, of course, the eventual payoff of this feud, which is the Styles-Balor feud, and then, or maybe even the possible allegiance of making the club just an even more dominant faction.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Before I get into that, though, the reason why I say unfortunately for Roman Reigns is because they pushed him way too late. He should have been WWE champion right after the Shield, broke up. After he lost. Well, he should have. No, it was right before the Shield broke up. Excuse me. Right, it was going into WrestleMania 30, and Batista came back, and Batista beat Roman Reigns, and then the next year Royal Rumble, Reigns won, but the fans hated him by then, and then his I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy. Well, he's going to learn out who the man is when Seth Rollins returns here coming up. But yeah, going into about Balor and Styles and Gallows and Anderson, I could see AJ has Gallows and Anderson like he does now, but then they, as you said, this feud will go on to Money in the Bank. Gallows and Anderson will turn on Styles at Money in the Bank, and then Balor will come out then, and then Gallows and Anderson rip their shirts off, whatnot, and underneath would be the Balor Club. So I think that's why they're calling Styles, Gallows, and Anderson just the club right now. Long story short, Balor debuts at Money in the Bank now, and aligns himself with Gallows and Anderson. And then it's going to set up, Styles against Balor probably. And Styles is better off on his own. He doesn't need, to be in a club or a Bullet Club or a Balor Club, anything like that, because he's phenomenal. He's the phenomenal one.
So just to make sure you have Roman Reigns in this match, of course?
Like I said, yeah, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Because this feud will still go on. And like I said, the reason why I said that is because they pushed him way too late. He should have been WWE World Heavyweight Champion way before this. And his gimmick, the way he's talking, it's just not getting over with the fans.
Well, he's turning heel, basically.
He is, but the fans still they hate him.
He gets those heel reactions.
Even if he did turn back to babyface, they would still hate him.
He needs to be a heel first before a babyface, that's for sure, I think.
Yeah, but
I think that's the only way to get him over with the fans, honestly. Because...
And they can't stop it now.
Yeah.
Vince was about ready to give up on it, and Triple H said, we got to keep this going, because if we stop it now, there's not any chance in the future that he's going to be able to get over with the fans.
I mean, look at his character. Well, first of all, he hasn't changed anything since the Shield broke up.
No.
He has the same entrance music, wears the same exact outfit, just with his logo on the bulletproof vest or whatever he wears. And then he acts basically the same. He does the same crap that he's been doing the whole time. So basically, you can see that the Shield was kind of the thing that made him over with the fans, basically, almost.
Yeah, Seth Rollins has obviously changed, and then
Dean Ambrose has really changed since then.
Dean Ambrose has really changed
in terms of character, at least.
He's turned into a lunatic.
Yeah, he's turned into that lunatic guy, that crazy guy. So,
and Rollins is the architect. He's the backstabber. He turned on the Shield to align with the Authority.
Yeah, but when he comes back, though, he's going to get probably the biggest pop ever when he comes back.
Probably it's going to be up there with Triple H coming back from knee surgery.
Madison Square Garden, 2002?
Yes, at the Garden. And then when Lesnar came back after he was finished in UFC.
And he F5 John Cena.
Down in Miami night after WrestleMania, and he F5 John Cena, as you said. So that pop, it's going to be a top 3 pop behind those two, or maybe even ahead of those two.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter what he comes back as, because just having him back, the fans will love it either way. He should be a face when he comes back. It only makes sense. That long knee injury just makes sense to have him come back. Back to Roman, though, his character doesn't make sense. I know at one point he was supposed to be called the Samoan Badass. Let me add, that doesn't sound like a face character. Samoan Badass does not sound like a face guy, a good guy.
No,
he sounds like a guy that just walks into the ring, beats the crap out of everybody, and leaves. That's what he should be doing. He should just be showing up, killing everyone, and then just leaving. No words spoken. Just
like Stone Cold said, arrive, raise hell, and leave.
That's all.
Look what Brock Lesnar does. He destroys everybody in the ring. He's so over with the fans. It's ridiculous.
I mean, you put a guy like Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns, a mouthpiece for him, and maybe he gets over more. I think that's the basic solution for Roman Reigns. Make him talk less, make him do more badass stuff like he's supposed to be doing, I would think, and then put a mouthpiece on him so he doesn't have to talk all the time, because that's probably the biggest problem with him. His talking is god-awful.
Yes.
There's no emotion to it. It's ridiculous.
100% agreed.
All right, we'll wrap up our a little WWE extravaganza there, discussion that we're giving you right there. We'll go into Goal Line Stand.
About half the episode there.
Yeah, about half the episode. We get into our WWE. So, yeah, Goal Line Stand right now. The rapid fire, little quick question, little BS stuff that we talk about. I just asked Lou some stuff that I saw, current things. So, I saw that Bryce Petty, backup quarterback for the New York Jets.
Keyword is backup.
Keyword's backup. Because who started week 1, Luke?
Penn State quarterback Christian Hackenberg.
So Bryce Petty said that by playing Madden, he helped his QB skills. Do you think that's even possible? Also, should more players do that if that is possible?
I say Hackenberg will start week 1 in the regular season, not the preseason, the regular season, because I don't think the Jets are going to re-sign Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, if they do, Fitzpatrick starts, but what if he goes in a slump halfway through the year? They're going to have 3 quarterbacks by that point, because they would have cut Geno Smith if they would have. They're probably Geno Smith's the favorite to be cut if they re-sign Fitzpatrick. I know that's not that didn't come out probably right, but the favorite to be cut is Geno Smith, and then it could be Bryce Petty. They're not going to cut Hackenberg because they just drafted him. But, like I said, what if Fitzpatrick goes in a slump? Hackenberg will have to come in. Then probably because they really like him. What was the question again? See, I get
buying this madness.
I get into talking about Christian Hackenberg too much. I forget what.
Are you buying this Bryce Petty saying Madden helped him his QB skills? Are you buying that?
Not one bit.
Not one bit.
I could play Madden as good as he could,
And he ain't half the player. So.
Exactly. He's playing the NFL. I'm not. I can play Madden. He can play Madden. And let us know what you think too. We're debating on whether to play, like have a tournament for video games or something, and upload it to our YouTube channel. That's how you're listening to our podcast. So let us know what you think about that. We're thinking about doing it. We might not. So let us know.
All right, second question. Yankees owner Hal Steinbrenner is blaming the team instead of Joe Girardi for their poor performance. Does he have a point? Now, the Yankees are 16-22, just to let you know.
He's going to get the last say, because he's the owner. But, look what the Braves just did. They just fired Freddie Gonzalez the other day. They told him on Sunday that he was fired, but he still traveled to Pittsburgh because they bought him plane tickets back to Atlanta for Tuesday morning. So they didn't announce. That's when they announced it. They announced it Tuesday then. So Girardi could be fired here coming up, but it's the players who play. Yeah, I understand the coach has got to coach better. He's a manager. You got to coach better. Maybe he isn't getting the lineup right. Maybe he is. But it's still May. We're only 2 months in the season. What if the Yankees, don't fire their manager? They stick to their gut, stick to their guy. Girardi has been in New York ever since Joe Torre left a number of years ago. And what if they make the playoffs? What if they, go to the World Series this year? Who's going to be laughing then? So that's that.
All true, yes. Final question for Goal Line Stand is, can the Oklahoma City Thunder defeat the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals? The series is at 1 game apiece right now, heading into Oklahoma City for Game 3.
I still like the Warriors. I'm still sticking with my gut. I have the Warriors and Cavs in the finals. I've been saying this for I don't know how many weeks. Excuse me. But we'll let you talk about the Thunder because they're your team.
The Thunder certainly can do it. That is a given. They played them real close all season, the regular season at least, and they played them pretty well in that game one. Of course, they won that. They already have the game at hand at winning at Golden State, but they have to win these two. If they win these 2 games at home in Oklahoma City, I would say definitely they can. It all depends on what they do here at home. They laid kind of an egg last night at Golden State. They're losing by, I think it was 27 points. Durant and Westbrook combining for a whole bunch of turnovers. Both those guys doing almost nothing in the second half after Durant had 23 in the first half. So I think they can do it. I think if anyone can, it might be the Thunder. But if the Thunder somehow beat the Golden State Warriors, then the Cavs will win the championship, I say. Because, LeBron James to win his first NBA championship beat the Thunder. So maybe to win the first one for Cleveland and forever, he'll beat the Thunder again. You never know. So we'll have to see about that. That'll be coming up soon, too. The NBA Finals will be coming up here around beginning of June. So we'll also have some coverage for that, too, along with all the other stuff coming that we talked about earlier in this episode. And finally, we said we would get to it later. It's the question of the week. Who is going to win the Preakness Stakes? Is Nyquist going to win, or is someone else going to take him off that Triple Crown possibility? I am going to go with, for my pick, I'm going to take the horse that came in second at the Derby, who lost to him just by 1 1/4 length margin. I'm taking Exaggerator for this one, who is a 3-1 favorite right behind Nyquist, who is at 3-5 to win the Preakness Stakes there and to continue his Triple Crown bid. Luke, who do you think might win the Preakness Stakes?
I'm going to pick Collected. He is trained by Bob Baffert, who also trained American Pharoah last year, who won the Triple Crown. He is a 10-1 favorite at the moment. Those will probably change, as we said 2 weeks ago. The odds will change. So I'm going to pick Collected to win the Preakness Stakes.
Okay.
At Pimlico in Baltimore, Maryland this weekend.
All right. That is where we'll wrap up this episode of Across the Goal Line. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at ATGL16. Now, both those links are available in the description of this video. Also, if you're answering the question of the week on Twitter, you can use the hashtag ATGL16 as well to answer the question of the week. So So do that if you can. Don't forget to email us any questions or concerns at acrossthegoalline2016@gmail.com. And we'll see you on the next edition of Across the Goal Line, live from the field.